Here we're going to look at example 1, classify polynomials from section 3.1. And we're asked, how can you write a polynomial in standard form and use it to identify the leading coefficient, the degree, and the number of terms? Right, so what I want to start with actually is talking about the degree. Okay, so when we're looking at the degree of the terms, here we have three separate terms. All right, and those terms we can combine, all right, in this specific problem. If you can combine the terms, you'd always combine your terms first, and then you worry about the degree, the leading coefficients, and the number of terms. So combine like terms first, and then go from there. So the first one we have is 4x, or negative 4x. So the degree of negative 4x is going to be 1. And where that comes from is the exponent of your variable. So in this case, that would be a 1 up there. All right, so the degree is 1. Now our next term, and these aren't in order, we didn't put them in standard form. We're looking at the degree of 9. Well, 9 is technically our x to the 0 term. So the degree here for this one would be 0. So if there is no exponent up top there, think of that as your x to the 0. And then finally, we're looking at the degree of 2x cubed. And this is probably the easiest one because that 3 is there for us. So the degree of 2x cubed would be 3. All right, and that's in terms of degrees. So now they mention that standard form, or I've mentioned here, the standard form of a polynomial shows any like terms combined, which I mentioned earlier, and the terms by degree in descending numerical order. So that means highest degree first. So if we're looking at negative 4x plus 9 plus 2x cubed, the highest degree is this 3 here. So our first term should be 2x cubed. And then we go in descending order. So the next highest would be this minus 4x. And we don't have to show the 1 as the exponent. We could just say minus 4x. And then our constant would be our last term. So we'd have 2x cubed minus 4x plus 9. So that is our standard form. Right, you're always going to need to write these in standard form. Next, they're asking about the leading coefficient up top here. The leading coefficient is, think leading, what's in front, what's first. So once you have it in standard form, your leading coefficient is the constant in front of your leading term. Okay, so this 2x cubed, that 2 is our leading coefficient. I think I spelled that right. No, I did not. So 2 would be our leading coefficient. Next they want to know the degrees, which we already mentioned, and the number of terms. So the number of terms is just how many separate pieces we have. So we have 1, 2, 3 pieces. So we have 3 terms. This tells us that it's a trinomial. Right, 3 terms would be a trinomial, 2 terms would be a binomial. Those are kind of your special cases. And then the degree of the entire polynomial. So these degrees up here are for each individual term. The degree of the polynomial itself is whatever the highest power is. So this polynomial would have a degree of 3. All right, and that makes it cubic. Okay. Again, the polynomial degree is the highest power. Okay, whatever your leading term is, again, this is our leading term. This tells us a lot. That's going to give us the leading coefficient, and it is going to give us the degree of the polynomial. And that's really it. It seems, it's as simple as it can seem. You're really just looking at how many terms you have, the exponents to determine the degrees, and you want to put them in order. Standard form would be descending numerical order by degree.